I'm going to call our meeting to order. Roll call.
Bill Curtis.
Tim Hamilton.
Neil Anger. Mike Schlossberg.
Okay, everyone's here. Purpose of our gathering tonight is to review additional supplemental information that's been given to us by two different applicants for two different variances we're working on. Part of the complication of these issues is going to, my suggestion is we're going to need to go into a brief private session with our village council. So whether you've had a chance to read his email he sent to us regarding the things that we have, the process by which I'd like to have a motion that we go into executive session so we can have coordinated conversation.
Let's call it private session.
Private session.
Closed session.
Okay. Got a motion, you have a second? We have a second from Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Close the same. Motion carries. Upstairs.
Do you know why there's no executive session?
They don't even have to do all
Oh, wow. With all the wall behind you. Yeah. Is it?
Because I tried to plan around realized that we're not here. And I wasn't going to I think I'm not outside of all words.
They went great.
because I thought they were back here. So they should have had discussed
I'm like a winner. I always go to my front yard and I'll get them. They know that the rain's leaving the barn.
Responsible for a lot of planting.
You know, I can find about the time they hide.
In the village again.
That's a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, movers Yeah, that's,
Texas.
I didn't see one.
the doctor's going wild and rabbit. She got it. The Was that at my house? So I had to come and then I just
He was the superintendent. They always do that, they always call you.
carried around for 3 hours. Chairman's out, my office is water, just sit out there.
So we want to go by the church? Yeah. That corner there? On the corner. The corner. Well, I'm sure they. Because I'm waiting for there's a bilateral letter. We turn into they have a big subdivision. Wasn't for sale. I mean, they provided some. When I came around the corner, there was really one thing. Put that septic box on the front door. So we would, make a nice like across the window. We did that, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, but they was that. Then I. But see, mine went up a lot. All my stuff, all my taxes, everything went up. I just put them all. Downtown, I said, there's nothing in the same. And I said, we don't have a bathroom. Yeah, New Hampshire, 20 street cleaners. So, and so does that. Yeah. And this year, I had guys who were doing it. So this year, I had somebody who was chasing around. Because when the town comes around, the guys are.
So in the time, that's all there.
So I come out, I see it's my parents. And he's a great guy, but then I say, look at mine, he's on the other side. Young couple. I think that he's the son's doing himself. So he did actually. And then we got to the, and she has little kids on the line.
Yeah.
And I got in the ditch. And the guys were sitting there.
Oh, there's got
Trying to tell the guys, right across the way, did you? Oh, this way there. So the guys came out real quick and then I took them cookies.
So they were renting it and then.
Yeah, or all the problems.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, I have to. You might not have a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always known that now, where you talk about somebody comes. But I don't think so.
No, well, see what Yeah, but the biggest problem all of a sudden, the builder raised the road. Yeah, we had water.
I don't think this is actually built. Yeah, this is across the road.
It should have gone straight out of the back of our house and across the road, stayed a couple of really. So, but the guys are, I just can't, I built my addition, but basically, so if I don't keep.
You'll IGA.
Just got, well, ours was well, you know what happened?
You pour Chevrolets.
I have to do
Pour Chevrolets.
Some of my leaves were.
Is that old? This here? No, I don't know what.
It's so recorded there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He was there.
No, I get it, everybody.
And since then,
But if they were on the and I called the guy, I go,
it's not like everybody has to do it. It's not like I
like, oh, really, no way, don't leave them for the town, or to blow back on. So they're, I've done it a year ago, 2 years ago. Did it ask me who were you going to do? Yeah. Like, why did you stop the phone anyway? You guys can help. Because I my reservations, I like to be able to stop somebody one.
Really hard.
Yeah. The rest I try to keep. Well, you know,
This morning on Facebook, like, sometimes when you shut us, I said, here, and we got stuff. For years.
got one over the broken leg. Grabbing's not feeling well. She said it's wood.
It's very rare. Did you find something? Nobody ever wanted to date. Found something. Never got any warning reward and that's why I'll have it. My son's dog. So I'm very happy. I wish it was story beside Oh, you can put one in the window. I have to get that one. So that should be
My wife's
and then it's my in-laws, I can believe this, I'm gonna give them a light that shows in the window. You know, the house gets too cold. Yeah, you can buy one of those. So I mentioned. I said, my husband is working on land on site, so I already have this somewhere else. And I looked at the lights. Oh my God, then I get on the first floor. I added that third bedroom, living room, kitchen. Never put the other one back up. And I had all of it. Oh, yeah. Amazing. My father, I went to church in every water, turned on. He was gushing. Let the pipe use. So I'm sitting again, my cousin. And I'm waiting for my cousin to come back. Never COVID, but he left. That's why I'm not for the needle.
Grandparents again. Or a little first round.
It's like I don't know how to but I was like, Yeah, our one to Ireland, I mean, let the CIE do we saved the land. We found out from that the method got it, went back, we said they saw my video. Some of the I said, I gotta save my money. It was on air. I went my $10 and 1 year ago, we got the hot tub to talk afterwards about this. And they said, how was your trip? I said, well, it was great. And I said, I just saw this app that you wanted for like $1 and I'm scrolling. We've been waiting for her back, you know, I don't know.
They come down here to go to South Syria.
I think what's happening is the intellectual. And so I got a flavor. It's an extra type of fiction. And a lot of cherry blossoms. And he looked at the street and wrote it down.
Oh, yeah.
There's an initial. Some of them. Some of them are like 10. Oh, just a sweater. I will go anywhere. I bring my company.
Just have to get us along the road.
They're probably paying all the I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not a whole
Bring the kids. We brought the kids back.
Bring your own.
Out west. Fascinating. I said,
We're
we're not going to office, you know, and my poor daughter, she had to watch it on all the complaints and exchanges, so we're like, I never had so I was they're like little jellies.
And we had 6 meetings.
Oh, yeah, right,
Trying to get emails back to the That's plenty of other. Trying to do both ways. You got golf Saturday. Saturday. And then somebody wants to get 20.
There's so much like so I go up to the girls, I think two stories are allowed, I go, we'll just take a picture. I go, you know, can I tell my friends? So now we walk back to the well, so my friend, which is in the state, I go,
You sure that's not be my wife?
because the eye is next to the but my, I felt that I wanted to finish. Something's really, it's church or senses, things like this. Yes. I said, private session. And he says that, okay. Tom said he was out of the room. Well, I could have told him.
We didn't get to go.
So we're, are you all set? Okay, so if I go out that way to the right, that's you. If I go out.
You're right. I sold it. Any questions asked?
Church, you know, yeah. There's a house and then there's a church there. I think I know.
He can take it now.
But, you know, you can teach them tricks.
So, I don't use it by my other.
No, because I'm tired.
My neighbor is, he's an older guy.
That's the same kind of thing.
That's the stuff that I did.
And then, so I told them, town. I'm like,
That's why you had to buy a door.
I think I'm back. So I go, Phil, I'm sure all of your trees. But I forgot you had. Mailing is very good.
Right.
And it also. I know it's getting there, but I might have.
I always wanted to do that. See, you love it.
Yeah. I get it back, but I can take care of it. It's a lot of
We have a motion to close.
Yeah, please.
Can I have a motion to close the private session?
I'll make a motion to close private session.
Second. Any discussion? Closing. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed the same? Motion carries. We're gonna deal with 50.5 Cuba Street first. Let me tell you the applicants here. Okay. Denny, are you representing the applicants tonight? Okay. So here's what we're going to do, Denny, so that you understand and the public understands. We have to do a seeker, and which is the environmental, and some of the application has already been turned in for that. And we're gonna inform the planning board because site plan review has to be done as well as part of getting a use variance. We're going to inform the planning board that we want to be the lead agent, meaning we want to do the seeker review. Because the way the process sits right now is we need to do a seeker review. If we get a negative declaration, then we can review the project for a use variance. Use variance is granted, then the planning board needs to simply do a site plan review, and then it's completed and it's finished. What we want to do this evening is go through the materials you've submitted related to the finances. We want to get all of that information, get all of our questions answered so that that's done. And then we'll be scheduling, as soon as we hear back from planning board, if they allow us to be the lead agent, it'll be a coordinated effort with them, so they'll be able to have input on the environmental review, but we'll schedule our environmental review as quickly as we can. We don't have the same, limitations of notice for doing that, because it's work that we're doing. So that's kind of where we're at, and we feel that's the most streamlined approach as opposed to sending it to planning board. They do the seeker, they send it back to us, then it goes back to planning board again. We figured they'll probably want us to just do our part first, and then they can do their part if it gets to that third stage. Do you have any questions about the process we're going to try and do here today? Okay, so if you guys will pull out the materials that were supplied. And have you had a chance to look through those, because you've had those for a while, so everybody look through those? Okay, so what questions do you have, particularly maybe for Denny, or what things do you want to share among us at a board that you've noticed that you think are significant to the issue? We asked them for issues related to financial hardship.
Well, I think we've seen where the asking price on the property has decreased precipitously downward from the original listing as a business itself, an ongoing business, to after they closed, and then after the closing business, again, the asking price continuing further and further downward, getting below assessed value, the original assessed value. The county came back, reassessed at a lower value, and they're still below that as new assessed value. And for the type of property that it is, and what's on there, I mean, Mullins are getting a bargain, if you ask me.
I think it's also significant that there's no mortgage, I mean, there would be no residential mortgage on the property as it stands. You know, it needs a commercial mortgage in order to be sold. So that's, you know, I mean, that, in terms of clearing buildings and doing all that, that pretty much negates any value that is there currently as well. So I think that's also significant.
I think it's also significant that they're paying, they paid $45,000 over the last 4 years just to have the property. They're paying $12,000 a year for a property that's not yielding them anything. So I think they've done a good job here documenting the financial hardship.
Do you have any questions on any of the documents, any of the information that's supplied to us?
I don't have any further questions.
Okay. Because we need to go through the seeker process, I want to have a motion that we formally ask the planning board to allow us to be lead agent in the seeker review, so that we can go to them with a motion and a formal request from the board.
As well as any other involved agencies.
Yeah, any other involved
Yeah,
agencies,
yeah.
right. Can I have a motion that we
I
approach?
would move that we make a formal request to any boards interested in being lead agency in secret review process.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Got a second from Mike. Questions about that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same? Motion carries. So at this point, that really leaves, that finishes. Is there anything else we need to do with Mill Spa? Yeah, well, let's schedule the meeting so we can do the seeker review. Let's just look at that right now.
We can.
We'll schedule the meeting and we'll hopefully hear back from the planning board in time so that we can do that. Where's my calendar?
Next week is wide open.
Next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday is open.
Next Tuesday?
It's okay with me.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yep, 6 o'clock here.
Officer Elmore, would you make sure that that gets put on the calendar and the police department, please? Thank you.
6 p.m., March 19th. Seeker.
6 o'clock, guys?
6 o'clock. Yep. Okay. Let's move on to 46 South Street, and we asked the applicant to provide information related to parking. Have you guys had an opportunity to review the materials? What's that? Just a little bit. Okay. If you have the booklet, I guess there's not page numbers on it.
There should be pages.
Well. Oh, there is, yeah. I'm not used to seeing the word age. Yes, the word, the number. It's going to be formal.
We're kind of fancy.
Yeah, I saw that. You don't get any extra credit. Did I say that out loud? That was like the internal speech.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Even your inside voice is loud.
So my drag athletes say. What questions do you have as you've gone through rather than get a whole big long presentation? Let's just get right to the meat of what you reviewed, gentlemen.
I have one question here on page 5. And I see that there's some data grids here, and the formulas use a transportation factor of 0.7.
No, 0.7 is for downtown Ithaca. They use 2.2.
2.15.
I'm sorry.
2.15.
What's your question about that?
The question is, how does it go from 0.7 to 2.5?
Yeah, who made that determination?
I'm going to ask Joe Bowes of Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services to answer your question.
But yeah, so we make that determination based on the proximity of the property to services. So if you're right in the heart of downtown, let's say you're right off the Commons with bus service, very frequently, you can walk to a grocery store, you can walk to anything that you need. You would have a zero transportation factor because you don't have to have a car to do anything. Most of the city of Ithaca is a 0.7, and then it goes up. So we put 2.15 on this property because it's a 7-minute walk to the bus stop, 7-minute walk to school.
But it seems like the 2.5 in comparison to the 0.7, it's almost as if it would be helpful to see like a scale of how this comes up. Is it an arbitrary number that, well, you know, this will increase by this much, but it doesn't seem like it's following any type of.
It's a very conservative number. I mean, if you think of 0.7 as being a property that has a bus stop very close by, 2.15 is quite a bit higher. I mean, it's...
What does the number itself mean?
Yeah.
0.7 mean 0.7 parking place for a single unit? Is that what the 0.7 means? And the 2.15 means 2 parking places or 2 vehicles? Or what's the number mean? As opposed to it being an arbitrary scale. I understand the idea of scale, but the question is the numbers built on historical data? We've done historical data, and when we wanted to find X in our formula, X was 0.7 or 2.15, here's in the historical realm where we got those 2 numbers.
Yeah, it's based on historical data of all of the properties that we manage and how many vehicles are at a different property based on how close it is to services.
Okay. Okay.
So how high can it go? That's what I'm like, what's the highest you can get?
I mean, well, that's a good question. You know, this is, to some extent, it's not a perfect science. I mean, you know, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you might, the top would probably be at 5, you know. You're basically, you know, 10 miles from the surrounding.
So let's say your property, you have a tire, that's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Would that have a factor of 5?
you probably put a factor of 5 on there. Now what we do then is say, okay, well, you can use this data, but then what is the real world experience of properties actually?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a
And
moment.
so that's how you verify that the scale works. Because
I didn't understand these charts. Maybe it's just me. Those on page 5, what are they saying?
What are AMI units? Is that like
That's what I need.
So that's an income.
Yeah, so that's the income of the tenant. So basically what we're saying in the first part of this document is that the number of vehicles is directly related to a person's income
Okay.
and their family size, and then how close they are to services. So those are the 3 factors.
Okay.
So the first chart says somebody who's extremely low income.
Mm-hmm.
And the unit size is the number of bedrooms. So a 1 bedroom of a very low income person
only 27% of those people have a car, if you use all the information that we're gathering. So then it goes up. The last chart, an 80% person has more income. And, you know, if you look at a 3-bedroom, so that's a family, at 80%, 100% of them have a car. So it's sort of logical, right? The more money you have, the more you might have a vehicle. The larger family you have, the more people you have to cart around, the more likely it is that you have a vehicle.
Maybe I'm not understanding either. So, if you just look at that very first box there, so the unit size 1, does that mean 1 bedroom?
Yeah, that's a 1-bedroom.
So why is a 1-bedroom requires more vehicles than a 2-bedroom does?
More units.
What?
It depends on the number of units.
There's the quantity of units, there's 2.
Oh, the units, okay, so that units is the number in the whole plan.
So this chart is actually of the 46 South Street plan.
Yes,
The
Exactly.
4 boxes are the 4 income levels
Okay.
of the units. Okay.
for 46 South Street.
All right.
So,
I guess in reading all this, I didn't get that.
Because originally,
Part.
you had asked, how did you come up with a 1.2 parking to unit ratio? And did we pull that out of thin air? Well, this is exactly how we did it. We said,
Okay.
based on the number of apartments, based on the number of bedrooms, based on the income level we're serving, and the transportation factor, if you multiply these out, you get to 1.15, which we rounded up to 1.2.
So transportation factor is the environment, and then the other issues was
income
income
and size of family.
and size of families.
Number of bedrooms.
And you can determine the income and the size of family by the nature of the regulations you put on the apartment. We have so many apartments at this level, so many at this and this. Now, is that regulated by someone? If you build this facility and you say I've got 3 units for 30% in this, is that established and doesn't change?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's part of the funding mechanism from the state for the tax credits.
Okay.
So this is the program that's proposed for 46 South Street.
Right. Now, I'm assuming the apartments are all equal, meaning a 1-bedroom is a 1-bedroom is a 1-bedroom, whether it's a person who's at 30% and one's at 80%.
They all look exactly the same.
Right.
Okay.
They just pay different.
Okay. Because that would affect the fact of parking if you're making that a determination. That certainly relegates the parking issue.
Again, we were just trying to show you where the numbers came from.
Well, that's what we asked for. That was good. At this point, we understand it. You have more questions about this particular chart, or let's move on to some of the other charts? Okay, so on page 6, you did a study of these different units, these different apartment complexes. What is your definition of senior? When you mark that some of these are senior, what's the definition of that? Is that people over 55? Is that?
It does depend on what the actual apartment complex has designated, but it's either 55 and older or 62 and older. Right?
Okay.
So you could basically say anyone over 55.
Okay.
Are these, so they have a number of buildings listed on page 6, but then also have a number of buildings listed on page 7. Does INHS manage all of these properties,
No.
or any of these properties?
So on page 6, we manage Tower View, Newfield Gardens, Pine View Circle, Juniper Manor 2, and Juniper Manor 1. And then you asked, well, can you give us properties you don't manage, or properties that are sort of in a more village setting or more rural setting? So page 7, Pine View Circle is sort of in the middle of nowhere as much as any property that we manage. There really is very little transportation, so we left that one on even though we manage it. Poets Landing we don't manage, Linderman Creek we don't manage, Glen Valley and Jefferson Village, those are all managed by other affordable housing property managers. Is Pine View Circle senior only? No, it's not. It's a family project. So I can just go down the list. Pine View Circle is a family, Poets Landing 1 is a family, and 2 is a family. Linderman Creek 1 and 2 are family. Linderman Creek 3 is a senior. Glen Valley is a family, and Jefferson Village is a senior.
Can I ask, and maybe you have an idea, why the heck does Linderman Creek 3 have 3 spaces per unit? Seems really high.
Yeah, it's probably a town of Ithaca requirement.
And the others in the town have 1.5. But
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why. If they had asked for more, or if the zoning had changed at some point.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like represent. One of the reasons is because it butts upon what was designated as parkland, so there's additional parking there for use of the parks and trails.
Okay.
So the page 6 chart just tells you how many parking spaces, but what we wanted to get at was page 7, which is, okay, so you built all these parking spaces, now how many vehicles are there? And this, so this chart basically says, you know, at Pine View Circle, we built 80 spaces, but we only have 35 cars there right now. And if you go down that list, you basically end up at about 71% vehicles to spaces, the vehicles to units.
2 units, right.
When you have that, when you mention that, so you mentioned number of spaces per vehicles, is that based on like a single snapshot, like a certain time period, like 3 in the afternoon and 1 day?
That's how many we built.
That's how many were built, how many parking spaces were built. And then we asked the property manager, they keep track of how many of their tenants have a car. So we asked, how many of your tenants living there today have a vehicle? So that's a snapshot in time, but,
And I'm going to assume that these numbers, though, they built into all of these places, some of these parking units or number of spaces are considered visitor parking.
sometimes, yeah, there's visitor parking spaces, sometimes there are not. They're just,
They're undesignated maybe in
like
some of
in
these places.
Trumansburg, we're required to build 2 spaces for every 1 unit. You don't have to put any visitor spaces. So,
Maybe the thought is that is including the visitor by building more.
Yeah. I mean, the big picture here, as you can see, 2 would be rather high for the parking spaces typically provided per unit. And in similar settings, far fewer spaces are actually being used. They're actually less than 1 per unit.
so we're at 70, they're at 70%. What we've proposed in our 1.2 is about 86%. But then we added on top of that 12 visitor spaces. And we also have, on top of that, the Trumansburg Nursery School site, which will have 22 spaces, which will be able to be used in off-hours.
So if not all housing complexes, let me put it this way, if zoning law does not require visitor spots, but zoning law requires so many spaces per unit, if you incorporate your visitor spots into your non-visitor spots, then what percentage are we at per unit?
If you
Are we at
add
1.5, 1.4?
1.4.
We're at 1.4 if you add in the visitor spots.
Yeah, so if you add in the visitor spots, you have 66 units or 66 spaces altogether. For 46 units, it's 1.44.
And you had designated in your plan an additional 8 spots as banked.
Land banked. We did, I think we shared with the planning board that the BZA didn't love the concept, so I think that was what we got from the last meeting. They haven't said, let's take it off the table. Those would be on lot 8, but if you add those in, you get to 1.6 spaces per unit for the development as available parking.
Have you found in your developments that you need labeled visitor parking in order to keep the peace?
We'll have tow trucks coming in.
We typically don't have visitors because
Then labeled as
if you
visitor.
look at this, we're building way more parking than we need. So, you know, there really isn't any reason to identify visitor spots.
So the 210 Hancock doesn't have any designated visitors.
That might be is that a residential thing? Yeah, they have like 3 spots in the back, I know, I park there a lot. And if you're parking the wrong one, some resident yells at you. Because they have their spot, whether it's marked or not.
And those are probably been there for a long time.
They yell at you. Or they yell at another resident who parks in their spot, because my dad got yelled at quite a bit when he used to drive. So I guess when we're talking about looking at it as a total variance, the designation of visitor versus non-visitor is probably causes more confusion to the real work of the variance than what we're talking about. It might be a convenience to be marking something as visitor and not, but
I mean, yeah, what is it easier to just call it 1.6 and no visitor parking and give them a variance for that? Is that what you're saying? They can label it however they want?
yeah, well, you're saying if you added in those like 8 spots,
So they will, what they're calling visitor parking.
that was
That would be
1.4
1.4.
Oh, that's.
with the visitor. If we add those other 8 spots that's already in that drawn plan where we didn't want to look at the idea of land bank, then you're talking, you're at 1.6.
Yeah,
It's 1.4 with the visitor spaces.
yeah. I mean,
Which then falls pretty close into what is provided on page 7, 1.57, is what's provided in all of these. We did ask what's going on around the area, and, you know, whether or not they, one of the concerns that was raised by a resident was, you know, what happens if you don't have enough parking and a person comes and says, well, you know, so I guess I can't rent a place because you don't have enough parking for me, because I have 2 cars, and, you know, and we fit the criteria, but we have 2 cars because there's 2 adults, we use a 1-bedroom unit, and, you know. I guess.
I mean, as you said at the meeting, that would not be good for them.
Right. Other questions about the report? This has to go to 239 before we can make determination.
So we haven't done that yet?
I'm not aware of it.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, we're concerned that it has to do 239 review on the parking specific,
Yeah,
because it's changed a bit.
we had suggested that earlier.
I need a plan.
Like a person?
Not a book.
I was wondering if you want a notebook, I'll get you one.
I got lots of those.
Okay.
So if we do have to do the 239M referral, and I agree that if it hasn't been done, it has to be done.
I'll do it tomorrow.
If the board has the discussion you had last time on the criteria, that would perhaps give the town attorney, village attorney an opportunity to actually draft up a resolution for you for next time that will be reflective, rather than having to try and kind of put together a decision that reflects your discussion. Just for the record, it's a little cleaner. So we would strongly advocate for this.
We can walk through the determination at this point. The area variance, you have it printed on your agenda there, the 5 points. What are we talking about? Are we leaning toward the 1.6?
I think that's too, I mean, I think that's too many.
So the 1.4?
I think that's
With
pretty
the present proposal as just incorporating the visiting into the parking.
Yeah,
As actually determining that's how much parking they're producing.
right.
I want to have a number in mind that we're talking about as we walk through this. We're not making a determination tonight, but we're going to walk through the
What is the
process.
additional 8, like, why?
Well, they were gonna land bank 8 spots.
It's just-
Land bank. Well, I mean,
Meaning,
they were
if
gonna-
the land's sitting there and you could put 8 pieces of parking there.
That would be good.
You said no, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't have it to up here to fill.
Yeah.
It's not built.
No.
So they have room for expansion, but they don't have to do it at this point.
So you're using the
And
1.1.
if people are not.
1.4 is what we're using
now.
now.
Spots, then they can put another 8 spots in if they
Right.
were.
I would agree with that.
I mean, the 1.4 would be compared to what they're, if they adjourn June, which is small. That's an apples and apples stuff.
Again,
And
you can't really compare it to Juniper.
No, I don't mean Juniper, I mean just the one, just their factor they include when you get the 1 per unit there.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
It's apples to apples.
Yes, not carve out something else. Yeah,
So is the land bank just gonna be there?
no, we're not putting that in at all.
No,
But we're,
but I mean, it's.
is land gonna be along that road?
Right.
Probably it'll still be there.
We're going to continue that dialogue with the planning. It was actually the town.
Planning board could add that in, they could add that in as a suggestion of what they want to do, and they can volunteer to do that. What we're saying is we're not going to require,
No,
because
right.
I wouldn't require land bank, we would just require them to pave that. Put in 8 more spots in that location, that was my point. If we go 1.6, then you put in those spots there, draw it in your plan.
They don't exist.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's too, I mean, I don't recall whatever, I agree that there would be that many, and also the whole goal here is to reduce it.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
so,
We asked them to give us hard numbers, and they gave us a lot of hard numbers, and they're not, everything's not going to be apples to apples, but it's a lot closer to what we were looking for. And a lot of mixed use. All right, so let's walk through the determination based on an idea of 1.4. Will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties be created by granting the area variance? A detriment?
No.
No. Will the benefit, is the benefit sought by the applicant, can it be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance?
Sure.
Well, can the benefit be
oh, the benefit.
gained? No, the benefit can't be gained in another way. You know, they're not trying to do something, they're trying to reduce something. So you got to think it's backwards. So the benefit cannot be found in another way. The benefit of reducing without reducing parking.
Right, okay.
Unless you, yeah, because changing the number of units doesn't change it because we're doing a ratio. So you can't, the benefit can't be achieved in another way. Is the requested area variance substantial? 1.4 from 2,
Looking at a
yes, it's substantial.
28%.
It's substantial, which, that's not necessarily a negative factor though. We've determined based on what other people
If
are
it
doing.
were purely single-family homes, I think it would be a different story, but I think the situation, it's, as a percentage, it's significant, but I think it's appropriate.
Yes, it's substantial, but it's appropriate to our understanding of the nature of this kind of a project. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions? No, it'll have a positive effect with less pavement. So, no. The alleged difficulty was self-created. Which consideration should be relevant? It's self-created, but it doesn't preclude the offering of a variance.
It was.
Well, you know, when public says we want less parking, so in that sense, if planning board says we want less parking, it's not totally self-created because this is a new project. But it's, you know, they want to build houses with parking, so it is self-created. And that, as far as that goes, you know, okay. Do you have enough information from us?
Sure.
Is there any public comments?
Last time too.
Is there any public comment tonight?
No, there's no public comment in this meeting.
Are we all set with the decisions from last time? Or?
Well, yeah, we're set with those. We're going to double check to make sure they fell under the 239 that was already done through the determinations. And what we'll want to do is we'll review to make sure that as the determinations are published, that there's a clarity as to related to what our discussion was and we walked through those. Great. So we're going to do that.
Thank you.
So can we schedule this determination for next week if we hear back?
Same time, same place.
Okay. Same time, same
Same
place.
issue for me.
Right. So maybe what we can do is if we need just you and I to sit down before that to iron anything out and so I have more information.
That's fine, or I can try to coordinate something, but you're at 6 and they're at 6:30 and they're on opposite sides of the lake.
And they haven't built that bridge yet.
No, but when you get to it,
Voting season, it would be quicker.
Is there the availability of doing Thursday next week and not Tuesday for anybody?
Yeah, I would prefer a Thursday and Tuesday.
Does Thursday work? Is your Thursday okay? I know what days I'm never available, well, it's hard to yes.
For me, Thursday works
Thursday,
best.
14th, is that good for you?
No, it would be 21st,
Oh, move it around Thursday.
21st.
21st is fine.
Five would make
That's it.
21st.
21st. Yeah, Thursday.
We can't have it Thursday.
Yeah, can't go back.
It's your anniversary. We burn a cake.
Let's just do it. If I can't be here, one of us will be here.
One of you can do
One
it.
will be here.
Appreciate it.
Of course. So we're gonna.
All right, we'll do Thursday, 21st,
21st
both of them.
at 6.
So we got on to the, rules, laws, and laws.
Hang on, I'm doing it right this moment.
21st. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Well, you know,
Thursday, 21st. Is that week, there's another reason to be out in the evening. It's 11 days. 4 of them, yeah. Yeah, they're going to Mexico. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed the same, motion carries.